Good afternoon. My name is Greg Williamson, and I will be talking to you about rudiments today. I'm a professional jazz drummer. I play a lot of shows. I was trained classically. I studied a lot of symphonic music. And frankly, when I learned about rudiments when I was a young student, I wasn't as interested. They weren't as fun as the music itself, so I concentrated on the music. As I got older, learned more about music and saw really great drummers and really great musicians. I learned that they really studied their craft. They studied their scales, they learned their rudiments, and they were able to play a lot better. So my style of rudiment playing is a little more on the musical side as opposed to being really technical, but I can help you and show you some great examples. It's like scales for horn players. Trumpet players need to learn all their scales. Drummers should know all their rudiments. So first thing to think about is posture. When you stand up, you should stand up straight. Think about yoga. They talk about having a string come straight out of your head, like the back of your spine, so your head is nice and straight, your back is nice and straight. Your arms hang down at your side, shoulders are really relaxed, down as low as they can go, and then you pick your arms up at your elbows. So your forearm is somewhat parallel to the ground. Okay, so all nice and relaxed. Put the tips of the sticks on the drum head and bend up at your wrist. So mostly this is going to be a flat across the top of the hand, across the top of the wrist, flat there. We got a hinge here in our wrist that bends up and down, kind of like a Frankenstein pin, if you know what Frankenstein was, right? So tips on the head, sticks up, bending at the wrist, and that's our start position. Now, our basic stroke, when we drop the stick, it's going to be a downward stroke. We're going to pivot and hang on to it with our finger and thumb, our forefinger and thumb. Other three fingers are going to let loose, and it's like throwing a ball at a drum, like a tennis ball. There's a great timpanist named Fred Hinger who came up with this idea of throwing a tennis ball at the drum, letting the ball bounce back out. So that's what we're going to do with the drumstick. Throw it down and let it bounce back up. So that's one stroke. Same thing with the left hand. Throw the ball down, let it bounce back up, one stroke. There we go. And we want to hit somewhere near the center of the drum. Right at the center. You can draw a little quarter-sized circle at the center of the drum. That's our target. Okay, so the first rudiment is called the single stroke roll. And most rolls and rudiments are played open to close to open. And that's a fancy way of saying slow to fast to slow. So we're going to start really slow, we're going to speed up, and then we're going to slow back down. We're going to take our time. We're going to think about the sound, get a nice full sound out of the drum, let the head vibrate, let the stick bounce out, and we're going to recover, and we're going to have a nice loose hand. Some rudiments are played by drum corps guys, and some rock players, they play with a really stiff hand, and that's a different style for a different kind of music. But we're going to play with a nice, loose, open hand. We're going to recover it on the way back up. So think about the sound, open to close to open, and this is a single stroke roll. 1, 2, ready, go. Now the thing I did at the end there, floating away, it's kind of a joke between me and some of my students. In symphonic music, when you play a crash cymbal, a lot of times the conductor wants to see the cymbals, so you show the cymbals at the end. It doesn't really affect the music or the sound too much, but it looks kind of flashy. It's kind of fun to do. So after a snare drum hit, when you finish, let the stick kind of float away. It's kind of an artsy thing. It's mostly for a joke for some of my former students. All right, so that's a single stroke roll. Remember, nice and even. It's not how fast you can play, but how even you can play. Right and left hand, we want to sound the same. So if you weren't watching, you might not know it was two different hands. All right, we'll do single stroke one more time. There you go. Okay, next we're going to do a double stroke roll. So I talked about this, the fulcrum or the hinge between our thumb and forefinger. We're going to use that and we're going to open the fingers up when we drop it and we're going to let the stick bounce. Here's the left hand. We're going to pick it up after that second bounce. So open those fingers. Let the stick pivot up or bounce up, and that's going to be our double. So the double stroke is right, right, left, left, right, right, left, left. And when we start slow, which is open, we're going to do two singles. So those are two hand movements, right? And left, those are two hand movements. As we get faster, we're going to transition to one hand movement and a bounce. So you get two notes for the price of one hand movement. This is really similar to the jazz ride cymbal pattern that I talk about with lots of my students. But this is two notes, bouncing. Here's the left hand. Whoops. Okay, my left hand is not as nifty as my right hand. Very common. So usually your weaker hand is the one you got to work on. Okay, so here's what a double stroke roll looks like. The double stroke rudiment, slow to fast to slow, or open to close to open. And I'm going to start with singles, and then I'm going to transition to the double. There you go. Did you see the transition to the double? I'll do it again, and this time I'll call out where the transition happens. And also be aware and remember that you want to have a hole here between your thumb and forefinger, and then you got this little space here. You don't want to get bunched up like this, because then the stick is just going to mash into the drum head. So you want to be open here, so you've got a free flowing hinge there. Okay, one more time. Double stroke roll, and this time I'll call out the transition. Transition back to two singles. Okay. Also notice that on the bounce, we're maintaining two separate notes. We want to hear two separate notes even when it's fast. We don't want to transition into a buzz roll. The buzz roll is a different thing. A buzz roll sounds like this. We're really buzzing. There's what you might call an orchestral roll, which is kind of between a buzz roll and a double stroke. You might not hear all the doubles, but it's still fairly open. That's my best orchestral type roll. But for the rudiments, we want a clear double stroke, 2 on each side. 2 on each bounce, 2 on each hand bouncing. Okay, let's move on to the paradiddle. One of my favorites, very usable for drum set players or any kind of players. Paradiddle, right, left, right, right. And what we need to do is be in single stroke mode, right, left, and then the right, right part can transition to a double stroke, just like the double stroke roll. So there it is as 2 singles. As it gets faster, single, single bounce, single, single double. Okay, here it is, all together. Of course, we start with the right, the next one starts with the left. Okay, I got a little loose in there, missed a couple, not a big deal. Important thing is you're transitioning single, single, bounce. So hands are closed, and then hand is open for the bounce. Hands are closed, and then the hand is open for the bounce. Same thing on the left. Closed, then open. Closed, then open. Okay, one more time. Also notice that I slipped in the accent. It's real natural to do an accent on the beginning, on the first note, on the downbeat, because your hand, in this case my right hand, is giving the left hand time to come up for an accent on the beginning of the next note. Right hand's playing 2 doubles. I have lots of time with the left hand to come up higher. So you can do, in my opinion, you can do the accent or you can not do the accent. I like starting off without it. But a lot of times when you shift to bouncing and doing doubles, it's helpful to do the accent. Okay, here we go again. All right, so that's paradiddle, double stroke roll, and the single stroke roll. Have fun practicing those. Check out the rudiments. Started with 13 essential rudiments, expanded to 26, and now there's more than you can shake a stick at.